Structural reforms are a vote killer for South African politicians, but that kind of talk is now necessary. Francois Stofberg, Efficient Group. Well, South Africa's municipal elections take place tomorrow in what is likely to prove to be one of the most closely watched polls in years. Given the drastic growth rate decline in the country since 2010, to what extent would you expect this election to be economically significant?
The rand strengthening a bit, probably at the back of some expectations regarding the results of the election. But this is short-term volatility that will probably ease out towards in the next couple of months towards the medium term. Having said that, the municipal elections can give you a good indication of what can follow in the national elections. Now, we're not expecting a huge swings in certain municipalities. Votes going. We're still expecting the ANC to have the majority of the votes. Maybe not the 67% if you could accumulate everything, but they will lose some of the territory, probably in Limpopo to the Economic Freedom Fighters, the EFF, and then probably in Gauteng some of the municipalities to the DA. But as we said, not huge swings to be expected away from the ANC.
Well, the rand has gained 11% against the US dollar this year, and it's the second best performing currency of the 24 emerging market currencies monitored by Bloomberg. How then are you forecasting the rand to perform as a result of this election?
I think the main reason it did so well compared to other emerging economies is because our base was eroded the furthest compared to these other countries. So it's more of a going from a low base, and it's very easy to have these large appreciation or have this large appreciation. Remember the president sacking Nene in December, the previous Minister of Finance, which caused a bit of an uproar on markets, bringing a lot of instability. And since then, we've felt and we've shown that the rand is very undervalued compared to historic averages. At the time, it was almost 67% undervalued on a purchasing power parity base, compared to its historic average about 47%. So just that is already indicating that the rand should have strengthened, and we were expecting 14 rand to the dollar, and we've now reached that point. So yes, we've seen a good strong move in the currency, but I think a lot of that is just because it was from a very low base. And then I think markets overreacted to a certain extent to some of the news that came from South Africa, and we're starting to see some of the recovery back to previous levels of undervaluation.
And lastly for today, which other key indicators will you be keeping a close eye on that have the potential to shape the South African economy in the near term?
Key indicators are likely not to look good from South Africa. Inflation will be higher than our central bank's target band of 3 to 6%. It'll probably breach and reach something in the direction of 6.8% for the year, so that's not going to look good. And then other more output-driven points are also not going to look good. Retail, trade sales, wholesale sales are down. Manufacturing is down. New car sales is very, very bad, but that seems to be a global trend. I think the thing that we really should be starting to look at South Africa is the talk about structural reform and structural changes, which the politicians are trying to avoid because most of the population do not understand certain of these reforms and the impact that it will necessarily have. And it's a very tough thing to do because it's a vote killer to talk about structural changes that are needed. So there's a lot of talk has gone into the kind of structural changes that we will need, specifically focusing on labor legislation, the easing of labor legislation, making it easier to hire and fire. So as soon as some of these structural issues are going to be started being addressed, I think that will definitely have the potential to shape South Africa's economy.
Thank you, Francois. Be sure to check back with the TV team for more updates throughout the week. I'm Sam Meredith, and we'll see you next time.